Episode number 112 with Carlos Welch. Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. Got a extra special guest for you today, none other than Carlos Welch. Welcome, Carlos. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. And I wanted to give a quick shout out. We got a few reviews here, and I've been waiting to read this one until you came on the show. There's one here from Longman, says, thanks, Steve and Mike, loving the podcast, both entertaining and educational. And then this one from Just Call Me Mr. X from the US of A. I found this podcast on accident, and I'm really glad I did. The strategy content is excellent. The interviews and guest selection is top-notch. And Mike and Steve can even be funny once in a while. Not to mention any podcast that features the famous Carlos Welch as often as the Heads Up Poker Podcast is a gold mine worth listening to. Keep putting out great content, guys.
The hell is wrong with these people, man?
So I thought that was cool.
That is pretty cool. Thank you for the kind words, my friend.
Yes. And what have you been up to, man? I know we've talked a few times, but it always has just been over the last couple of months. But it's just been hand history reviews and what's new in the world of Carlos. You were back visiting family for the holidays, right?
Yeah, there's a lot new since then.
Okay, do tell.
So, like Steve said, I was here in Laughlin, Nevada, hour and a half south of Vegas, from the end of the summer, end of the WSOP up until the first or second week of November. And I drove my van back across the country for the holidays, visiting family, and also for the Cherokee WSOP circuit event.
Nice.
So I was there until about the middle of January, and I came back. And so I drove my van back to Laughlin during that time. And over the course of those months, I was, telling everybody I knew about Laughlin because it's pretty awesome. We've talked about it on the podcast before. I think these hotel rooms are really cheap. It's close to Vegas. It's also close to Mexico, maybe 4 or 5 hours from Mexico if you want to go play on PokerStars. It's close to California, so where Mike and Steve are, and the bike. It's just a great central location for poker compared to where I was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, I'm telling everybody about it, and one of those people is Assassinato. And so I told him how great this area was, and he was telling his uncle, for some reason, how great Laughlin is. And his uncle mentions, Laughlin is right across the river, maybe 5-10 minutes down the road from Bullhead City, Arizona, and I have a house there. And just so happened, Assassinato, and this is public information now, so I don't feel I'm allowed to say this. Assassinato recently got a divorce, and so his plan was to move out of Costa Rica and back to the U.S. Uh-huh. So he and I decided to move into his uncle's house together.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's where I am now. I'm in Bullhead City, Arizona, at Assassinato's house, where he and I are roommates, which means I am no longer the homeless poker player.
Nice. Right on.
Yeah. And
congratulations, dude. You couldn't have picked a better roommate.
Exactly. And the best, I'll say the second best part about this whole deal is now I got, pretty decent internet where I'm not working off of the Wi-Fi on my cell phone anymore. I actually have an Ethernet cable, and it's plugged into the box, and we got the highest speed internet package we could get. So getting pretty impressive, if you guys are familiar with the tech side of things when it comes to internet, like 120 megabits per second down and like 40 megs upload. That's 10 times better than what I'm used to.
Yeah, I think two poker players could be A-tabling at the same time would probably no problems. That's this is a man. Remember the days with the storage unit and the smoke detector in the background
Yeah,
that would just not stop.
yeah. Like that was so I guess I got the office in Atlanta, which I call the Knit Cave.
Hmm.
Um, I want to say around August of 2015. So, and I bought the van in July of 2015. So I did that whole thing for about a year and a half. So I've definitely come a long way since then.
Yes, congratulations, man. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Thank
Yeah, so you're living with Alex now. Is it a two-bedroom place or what's the house like?
Yeah, it's a nice size house. It's two bedrooms, um, two bathrooms, living room, and a big two-car garage and a front yard and a backyard. It's pretty cool.
Nice, nice.
In
Right on.
fact, so Alex I picked him up from the airport in Las Vegas, I guess like a week ago.
Hmm.
So he came from Costa Rica to Vegas, and basically he just got here in town long enough to drop off his stuff, drop off his dogs who are on pet sitting right now, and the very next day he took off to Montreal for the WPT. And so I've been here a week, just with myself and the dogs. But the last 2 days, Andrew Brocus and his girlfriend came by to visit.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, so it was cool to hang out with those guys. Also, we went. Um, I want to say rock climbing, but that's way more dramatic than what actually it was. It was like
You
we
guys
like
walked up a hill that had a
it
rock on
was.
it.
It was a canyon.
Take the
So
photo with 1 foot up on top of that one rock and kind of thoughtfully looking out over the sunset. Is that?
I asked Andrew because Andrew does this kind of stuff a lot. So we went through this canyon, and I asked him on a scale to 1 to 10, how difficult was this compared to what you guys normally do? And he said it was a 3. I don't, I don't normally do that kind of shit. So, but so to me, it was more like a 6. Like I didn't have a hard time getting through it, but yeah, I wasn't expecting him to say 3. So it wasn't like we were, hanging from a harness and all that type of thing. But we did have to, climb over some boulders and stuff like that. So, long story short, just had a good time hanging out. I mean, it's like, yeah, like just to your point, going from the office with the dead battery and the fire alarm a year and a half ago to living with Assassinato and having Andrew Brokers come by to visit for 2 days is a pretty major shift.
Yes, yes. Alex is gone now, but I was going to ask you if he was reading a book, drinking coffee, and in the background petting a poodle.
You know what? That's probably a very accurate description of what he spends at least 20% of his time doing.
It was either that, screaming into a mic, yelling at Barry, or doing some type of poker coaching work,
Yeah, exactly.
or going for a run. Those were going to be my guesses.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Right on. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. I mean, you couldn't, and this is a perfect relationship for the two of you, because I really think, especially him coming out of what he's coming out of, he could learn a lot from you when it comes to knitting it up, and
Yeah.
you could certainly learn a metric ton from him as far as poker and HUDs and just everything. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
that's a match made in heaven right there. Right on. Good for you, dude. Good for you,
Awesome.
and good
Yeah.
for him too.
Yeah. So far we're enjoying it. I'm a little scared because his work ethic is kind of intimidating, and he like the first day he was like, "Oh man, we're gonna have uh, so much fun here. Like man, we're gonna get up at like 6 a.m. and study." I was like, "We are."
I roll out of bed at 10:30. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of like a little bit worried about what he has in store for me, but either way, it's gonna be fun to try to keep up with him.
Yeah, yeah. You gonna go out for some jogs with him?
Probably not jogs if I can convince him to walk, or I'll start off jogging with him and like I think he does like maybe 5 to 10 miles, like max in my life. The most I've ever run at once was 3 miles, and that was probably like 50 pounds ago.
Okay. It ended
So
with a trip to the hospital, and you said
yeah.
F that.
So I mean, if I had to guess right now, I could probably run a mile without stopping, but I don't know what kind of speed he goes, and I do know for a fact there's no way I would keep up with him for 5 miles. That's just not happening.
Yeah, yeah.
But we'll definitely go back to that canyon. Like that's something I think he's interested in, and the cool thing about that is even if you're out with somebody who's faster than you, they can't jog through a canyon, so you're kind of on the same footing at that point.
Yeah, level playing field there.
Exactly.
Yes. Right on. Now you're coaching now, right?
Yeah, I had a guy contact me in November, right before I went home for the holidays, and I told him that I hadn't done a lot of coaching before, but I will give it a shot once I got back from the holidays. And we recently had the first session earlier this week, and man, it was more fun than playing. Like it's probably the most fun I've had in poker in a while. Just taking one of his hand histories and breaking it down, and making notes and kind of telling him what, giving him pointers here and there. And the best part about it is seeing him make some of the mistakes. Like it reminds me of when I was at that level.
Yeah.
And it just makes me smile to think about, man, I remember how scary it was for me to do so. Like I'm telling them like triple barrel bluff spots. And I remember myself thinking like, there's no way this is going to work. I'm just punting a stack. And I'm telling him like, dude, no, you have to do it here yet. And just hearing the reluctance in his voice reminds me a lot of myself 2-3 years ago. It's so fun.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of work that goes into coaching too. All the prep time beforehand. When people are like, oh, "You're charging $1 a minute," and it's like, well, you have any idea how much time this is on the back end?
Yeah. This guy, he caught me. He was lucky enough to catch me when I'm just getting into it, when I'm pretty inefficient. But eventually I'll get the thing more streamlined. But man, like at this point, he's paying about $7 an hour because, like you said, it's like 3 hours of prep time for me. Because being a former teacher, my prep is kind of like the core of my job. And like when you're teaching, like you get like a whole hour block of time where you have no kids just to prepare your lesson, and then you just perform it like 5 times that day if you're teaching the same subject. So that's like the most important time. And so I put a lot of work into that prep. And like you said, 3 hours. Like I said, 3 hours. And also we talked on the phone for an hour before even doing the paid hour, just to kind of figure out like, what his goals were and what I could offer. And then once we got on the call, we went through about half the notes I made in that hour. And then I told him, we should just keep going just to, finish out the rest of this page. And I was really hoping he wouldn't say no, because in my mind, I was like, I'll be damned if I spend all time putting these notes together and we only get through halfway. Like, you got to stay on this call, and you're gonna get an extra hour for free. And that's basically what happened. So yeah, he got like 7 hours out of me for $50.
Hell of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done lessons where I haven't prepped sufficiently, and it shows in the lesson. I know the student can feel it, I can feel it, and then there's other ones, like you said, where you really put in the time and you prep for it and you go over it and you're on point, and it's a much much better lesson. And so I've learned that one the hard way. But there's a lot of prep time on the back end, but like you said, those moments make it so worthwhile when you're looking at a spot right here and the guy's got king 3 offsuit, and you're like, oh, this is a perfect 3 betting spot. And
He's like, what?
You look at the villains fold to 3 bets after 500 hands. It's 80%. You're like, we just got to be firing here, And they're like, no, we can't do that. You're like, trust me, just try it.
Yeah.
And, those moments make the whole lesson worthwhile. It's cool.
100% agree.
Yeah. But good for you, man. Good for you. What else is on the horizon? What's in the future here for the next 6 months?
Next 6 months. What month is this? February.
This will be through the WSOP.
Yeah. So obviously Vegas is coming up. Probably. So Alex is gone for I think another week or two, and during that time I'm here with the dogs. But once he gets back, I may go. I got hired like early November to do some substitute teaching in Coachella, California. But I haven't done the orientation yet and done all the paperwork to actually start working. And the lady who hired me told me, okay, don't worry about any of that stuff until you get back from holiday. Because I told her, like, yeah, thanks for the job. Thanks for hiring me, but I was just about to drive across the country to see my family for the holidays. And she said, just let me know when you get back and we'll take care of orientation.
Oh, okay.
So I got back early January, like I said, and I sent her the email, like she said, to let her know that I was back, and she hasn't responded to me. That was like a month ago. So on the one hand, I'm a little bit worried, but on the other hand, I don't want to do a follow-up email yet because I can't do anything until March anyway because I'm here with the dogs. So
you're like, I've fulfilled my commitment by making contact.
Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping that she doesn't email while at the same time hoping that she does email. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a weird spot. But if I don't hear from her by March, then I'll follow up with her because at that point I'll be able to go, do all the finish all the steps and actually start working. So I would like to have the option of putting in some substitute teaching hours in March and April to kind of build a war chest for Vegas this summer. Right. And that's plan B. Plan A is to run good in poker. And so far that happened online in January. Like I just crushed like the last 3 months.
Oh,
so
nice. Hopefully, you were on a downswing for a little bit, so that's encouraging. Good.
Yeah. So if February goes like January did, then maybe I don't go substitute teach at all. I'll probably still go do the orientation, but I won't take any assignments if I don't need to kind of pad my bankroll.
Yeah. Right on. Cool. What are you going to do? Math or any subject? You don't care?
Any subject, because with substitute teaching, and I'll do like the elementary kids, because with them you basically this is basically glorified babysitting. You come in, you pop in a Frozen DVD or whatever they're watching that day, and they sit in the back and wait. Now, I would love to do math and actually help some kids with work, but generally kids don't work on substitute teaching days unless they're like middle school kids or high school kids. And generally those kids don't want help from a substitute. Like subbing middle school is basically like setting your pubes on fire.
It's just a great time, huh?
Yeah. So I don't ever want to do that again, especially in math, which they all hate anyway. High school is fine actually, because if you get like 11th or 12th grade, like those kids, they want to be there. They care about the work. Otherwise, they would have dropped out by then.
Yeah, they've been
Uh,
gone.
yeah, the nut low is ninth grade because these kids aren't old enough to drop out, but they're all old enough to know that they plan on dropping out.
Hmm.
So, like, there's no getting any work out of the worst of that bunch. But yeah, so in my experience, I've done all three levels, and elementary was just a cakewalk.
Right on. Cool. 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 Well, I did a session last night. I played some. I got a new computer. I was having trouble with the test was podcasting, and I was having trouble with losing recordings and losing content and just
Mm.
pulling my hair out. And then finally, someone suggested that my editor Andre said, you might need a new computer. And I was like, maybe I do. I was running Windows 7, and I didn't realize how quickly technology advances. So I got my new computer set up. I got Camtasia, Hold'em Manager 2, all my poker software and everything transferred over to my new computer. And I didn't realize how crappy my old one was when it came to playing poker because halfway through a tournament, I just expect Tournament Indicator to all of a sudden just take a dump. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it never happened. It never happened. Hold'em Manager never took a dump. Like everything worked seamlessly. It was really cool to play poker like that. And I didn't realize how long I've been putting up with crap because of I just had an outdated computer.
Yeah, it becomes normal to you after a while.
Yeah, it does. It does. But I got a few hands if you want to talk some strat.
Sure.
Okay. First, let me give a shout out to Tournament Poker Edge. You guys hear us talk about them all the time. On a serious note, I really don't know where I would be without Tournament Poker Edge. I mean, like, I never would have met you. I never would have met Mike. This whole community that's built up. I mean, think about it. Where would you be? You probably wouldn't have met Alex, right?
No, I will say that probably 90% of the things that currently happen in my life happen as a result of me becoming a Tournament Poker Edge member. And all those things are by far 10 times better than, what I was doing before.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it started this podcast. One of the guys I met through there, Jacob, he built the website for me. It's just this huge networking community that kind of, if you really want to get better at poker, this is the way to do it. It's you're just going to meet so many different people in poker that you can't foresee how that's going to impact your life a year or 2 years, or in our case, 3 or 4 years from now. But I mean, yeah, if you guys want to sign up, HUP month, HUP quarter, and HUP year will get you a discount depending on which package you sign up for. But okay, let's go over some strat here. Okay, I got 3 hands from ACR, and then I've got a couple from Ignition too. Okay, so this one, let's see, replay all. All right. Blind levels are 50, 100, and this is one of those hyper turbo mega stacks. The ones on ACR that they seem to run every night for 20 or 30 bucks.
Yeah.
Where you start with like 25K.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so we got blind levels are 50, 100. We've got 23,000, so we've got 230 big blinds, so we're super deep.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the hijack. It folds to us, and we've got pocket aces. Okay, so at 5,100 from the hijack, we raise to 300. It folds around to the big blind, who completes. The big blind has us covered. He's got 24K, so he's got 240 bigs. We got 230, so we're playing 230 bigs effective. And going to the flop, the pot is 730. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. The flop is Queen of Spades, 10 of Spades, 9 of Diamonds. And we have the Ace of Spades and the Ace of Clubs.
All right. So in this spot, and this is something I've been doing different lately. Um, Early levels, I'm basically just going for maximum value, big value in spots like this, and I'm not doing as much bluffing, but because I find that people can't fold like even marginal hands when they're this deep, and they're not really that sensitive to bet sizing.
Okay.
So I'm betting here, and I'm betting fairly big, like maybe even pot, either like between like 75-80% of pot up to pot.
Okay. All right. Big blind checks to us. So here you're going to bet in the 730. You're going to bet.
Let's just say
Six,
pot.
you're just going to bet pot. Okay.
Right. I don't think a guy folds a 9 to a pot size bet here.
Okay. Interesting. This session, one of the things I was working on was, well, that's interesting. Okay, so you'd bet full pot here. I bet 377, so I went a little less than half pot, but you'd go bigger here.
And this is just a function of me playing against inexperienced players. And so, like, if you look at this board, this like Queen 10 9, like even a king, if the guy has like King 8, with I guess any king would be a gutter. Like, I can't imagine people, because he has you covered. So anybody with this many big blinds, they're just not folding anything that hits this board, and a lot of their hands hit this board. Like even like I don't know, the like 8-5 with 8-6 with the 8 of spades. I don't see anybody folding.
Wow. Okay.
I guess that's a double
just
gutter.
because it's so deep.
Yeah,
They're just
okay. They're definitely calling at least once.
Okay.
Almost regardless of sizing. Now you start over betting, and now you kind of give people red flags. And another thing is this: a lot of the people who aren't that good in tournaments, the majority of their poker experience comes from cash games. And a pot size bet here at these stack sizes would not be unheard of at all in a cash game.
Okay. Well, we bet 377, and then villain check raises to 1122.
All right, and well, first let me ask this, because I'm assuming we know nothing about this guy other than the fact that he regged. I'm assuming this is a small buy-in.
I am trying to remember. It doesn't say on my replayer here, but I think this one was either a $22 or a $33. Actually, no, I remember now. It was $21 because I remember thinking, oh, there's only a $1 rake, and then I realized it was because it was a hyper turbo. So then I thought, okay, so it was $21.
Gotcha. So these are roughly the type of stakes I play, between like 10 to $30, and I guess this is a little bit different with it being on ACR, but still, like, if you don't have hands on this guy and you don't know who this guy is, I'm going to give him like the basic read that I give to most players in these stakes. At the early levels, they call too much and they're too passive. So I'm betting big, expecting this guy to call me with a lot of hands that I have beat. And when he raises here, I think he's going to do this with a lot of hands that have me crushed and a few bluffs that have a pretty decent amount of equity on me. So I'm probably just folding to this race.
Okay. Yeah, my thought here was, okay, this flop kind of smacks his big blind calling range. You know, I mean, I think he's calling with a lot of suited connectors. I think he's calling with a lot of Broadway hands. You know, hands like Jack 9, Jack 10, Queen Jack, basically anything with a Jack in it, all makes sense. Two spades would make sense. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's doing this with hands that have us crushed, like sets and two pairs, and then the hands that he's kind of doing semi-bluffs with, like Jack 10, have a bunch of equity against us anyways.
And the main problem with that is the hands that we're ahead of, like you said, they have a lot of equity. And even if the turn and river break out, like if it just goes deuce deuce, like two complete blanks,
Yeah.
I think we're still gonna fold to big bets by the river. So like only thing good happens for us is to hit an ace. And I mean, even that doesn't give us the nuts. And we could hit a spade, which only if we hit a spade, that allows us to call another street from behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there's very few good things happening to us in this spot.
Yeah. I like your reasoning a lot. I like that a lot. I agree. I think it's a fold here. And I call, and then the turn is a blank. He leads out.
What was his raise size again?
His raise size was 1122.
1122. Okay.
Yeah, so we went 377, then he makes it 1122.
So what is it? 20. So like 3K in the middle on the turn.
On the turn there is 3K.
All right.
2974. Yeah.
All right. 2974. And the turn card is what?
Deuce of hearts. So now we have queen of spades, 10 of spades, 9 of diamonds, deuce of hearts.
Right. So I imagine if he bets again, like if you call the flop, this doesn't change anything. So I imagine you may call again. This feels like one of those spots where we're always calling twice and then folding river.
Yeah. Okay.
And if that's the case, I almost just want to get out early.
Yeah. I wish you were on my shoulder for this one, because on the turn he must click the 2/3 pot button because he bet 1983 into 2974. And then it's like, well, if we called the flop, I guess we got to call the turn, right? When a deuce peels off.
Right. See, it's funny we say that. We say, well, I'm going to call this raise. And then you say, if we call the flop, we got to call the turn. But we hardly ever say, we call the turn, so we have to call the river.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times we kind of like realize like, oh, this is a horrible spot after we've paid two big streets. And the key to me in spots like this is, like I said, if this guy's aggressive, then I don't mind calling him down. But to me, an unknown in these stakes are just not, taking a line like this with like pocket threes. They're not, and they almost have to have some hand that's just like there's very few hands that don't have almost 50% equity against us on this flop when he takes his line. And even if we get bluffed off a hand in this spot, I don't think that is too bad, because over the course of the tournament, we're going to outplay a guy who is doing something like this with pocket threes or, I don't know, like 5-4 spades. So whatever he could have, if he's that aggressive, we'll find out later, and then we'll call him down when we do have a better bluff catcher. Yeah. So, sometimes I get bluffed off of aces in this spot. But one lesson I learned is, and I wrote an article about this, I guess 2 months ago for 2+2 magazine. If you think about the hand raking chart, obviously royal flushes at the top, and then you go all the way down to no made hand. One pair is the second worst hand in poker, and aces is just a pretty one pair hand.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so I don't mind folding aces in this spot, and I would probably look for it because basically we're bluff catching, right?
Yeah, that's all.
We're bluff catching,
yeah.
and And I would rather bluff catch with something that contain blockers to the value range. So obviously like two pair would be a pretty good bluff catch in here because you block a lot of the other two pair combos. And also even a hand like Queen Jack would be a better hand to call down with here because you block King Jack, you have outs, more outs than aces does in this spot. And like you have enough better hands to bluff catch with here that you can let go of this one. This is just a bad bluff catcher.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, the river is a 9, pairing the 9. So the final board is Queen of Spades, 10 of Spades, 9 of Diamonds, 2 of Hearts, 9 of Hearts, and into basically 7K. He leads out for 46, and this is just like never a bluff, right?
Right.
Check raise flop, lead turn, lead river.
It may be a bluff sometime. It could be like busted spades or something, but I'm still not calling because that's only each spade combo is only one combo. And a lot of the biggest ones are blocked because we have, the ace, the queen and the 10 on the board. If he has a king, maybe it's king jack. So that's not even a bluff.
Yeah.
So if he has the jack, maybe it's jack 8. So like there's not many spade combos he could be bluffing with here that A, aren't blocked by the board, and B, aren't already a straight, which is the problem with bluff catching with this hand on such a coordinated board. A lot of flush draws that we're trying to defend against are also straights.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, I agree. I should have clicked fold on the flop, but instead I bled another 60 big blinds here, and I flicked in a call, somehow convincing myself that he had a busted flush, or he was betting king queen this way, and he had king jack, so he flopped the nuts.
Was it just king jack off?
King jack off, yeah. He did have the king of spades, for whatever that's worth. But,
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that one left a bad taste in my mouth, and I was thankful that I still had 140 big blinds after that hand, but I remember thinking, like, how did I just dust off 90 bigs with aces when I had 230?
Man, it makes it easier on ACR in a $22 tournament because it's a rebuy. You can always just fire back in if you lose your stack, and that I think that kind of like is it can be a bad influence on discipline in these spots.
Yeah.
And also, it just sucks to fold aces on the flop. It a lot of times it's the right play, but it definitely makes you paranoid.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Okay, I got another. This one's fairly quick. Let's see, 3K guaranteed, 8 max. We are a decent way into the tournament. We played.
What's the buy-in?
The buy-in. Let's see, this 3K guaranteed, 8 max. This was a $33.
Okay.
And okay, we've got ace queen offsuit in the small blind. Okay, so blind levels are 300, 600. We have 31K, so we've got 53 big blinds. And we're only 5-handed, so we're getting down towards later in the tournament. It's an 8-handed tournament, and there's only 5 at the table, so I'm assuming we're down to 2, 3, 4 tables, something like that. Okay, under the gun, which would be the hijack, he min raises to 1,200. He's got 38 big blinds for a starting stack of 23K. Okay, so he min raises to 1,200, and then the cutoff raises to 36.95. Button folds, and now it's on us.
What's the cutoff stack?
Cutoff stack has 43K. He's got 73 bigs, so he has us covered.
We're in the small blind with what hand?
Ace of hearts, queen of clubs.
Do we know anything about the two players?
The opener, we only have 14 hands on him. He's a 14-14 with 38 bigs. And the 3-better is, we have 32 hands on him, and he's a 38-34-11. So, not a whole lot.
All right, so couple of options here. And by couple, I mean exactly two.
Okay.
Either 3-bet fold or just go ahead and fold now. I think the 38-34-11 may have earned himself a cold 3-bet bluff. So 23K, 43K, and like other players at the table, roughly at the same stack size, or
the big blind is yet to act, and he's got 17 bigs. We only have 12 hands on him, and he's an 8-8. So out of 12 hands, he's raised one.
Right, and I think if this is like early, so this I had a conversation last night about decisions like this. If this is earlier in the tournament and everybody has like a decent size stack, well, I shouldn't say early. I should say like middle stages of the tournament, and everybody has a decent size stack to where me having 50 bigs doesn't give me that big of an advantage over everybody else. Like if everybody has like 40 to 50 bigs or better,
yeah,
then I don't mind going for it in a spot like this if we're not too close to the bubble. I mean, maybe it's even better if we're close to the bubble because it puts more pressure on the guy. But on the other hand, if majority of the people in the tournament have less chips than me, like if like there's a lot of guys with 20 to 30 bigs and I have 50, my stack has a ton of utility against those guys in terms of leveraging their stacks with bets that, doesn't mean much for me to lose, but means a lot for them to call.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful weapon. But when I don't have that weapon, when everybody has about 50 bigs, then I'm more likely to go for an above the rim play like this. So a lot of times when it's a close spot, which I think this one is, I'll let that sway my decision. So if we were to 3-bet, it would be a good chunk of our stack, like somewhere close to like maybe 11, 12K, I think. Let's see, what would I do here? Yeah, it's going to be like 11 or 12K, and it's going to be hard to fold that to a shove. So I don't want to just rip because
we're only getting called by better then.
Right. And 50 bigs is just too much to risk for what's out there. So, yeah, so I don't like ripping. I don't like 3-bet folding based on how much of our stack we have to put in. And obviously, we're never folding to hijack if he decides to shove. And I don't even think we can fold a cutoff given that we're putting in like 40% of our stack to if we 3-bet here.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to opt for a fold in this spot.
Okay. I thought the same thing. I thought, if I 3-bet here, I got he made it basically 3,700. I got to make a minimum 10K, and I think that's even too small. And then if I do that, I can't.
Position in a multi-way pot.
Yeah, and so now I'm raising and under the gun razor, and granted it's 5-handed, so his range is a lot wider, but still, I don't like putting in 11K and then having to call another 10 when he shoves. I don't think we're ever. The best we're hoping there, I think, is flipping.
Yeah. Another point I'll make is, in addition to our stack advantage, if everybody else is shorter, we may also have a skill advantage in a $33 tournament. So that'll deter me from taking a high variance play like this. But if I'm at a table or in a tournament with all great players, then this spot could be like slightly plus EV, And the best thing you can do in that situation is just like, push thin edges pre-flop against players that are going to crush you post-flop. So like, it's kind of like that kill field strategy people used to talk about. Like, yeah, if it's a high variance spot, but you kind of got to gamble when you're playing against people that are better than you. And generally, we're not playing against people better than us. So that's another argument for a fold.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So did we just fold in his hand?
Yeah, I folded.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I let it go. It yeah, just with the 3-bet amount, I didn't like. I remember something Jonathan Little said, and he said, whenever there's an under the gun raiser, I don't like re-raising him because generally speaking, his range is very strong.
Right.
That was echoing in my hand. There was two thoughts, kind of like what you said. I knew it was either a 3-bet fold or a just an open fold, and I didn't like the fact that the under the gun raiser, if we 4-bet at that point, we can't fold to his shove. Maybe if he had even more big blinds, we could raise. But I thought, if we make it 11 and he shoves his last 21, we can never fold there.
Right.
Okay. This one's kind of an interesting spot. Okay. We are in the big blind, and we get a min raise. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're 8-handed. We get a min raise, UTG plus 1. Blind levels are 20-40, so he makes it 80. Then we get a call from the cutoff, a call from the small blind, and it's on us. So it went UTG plus 1, made it 80, cutoff calls 80, small blind calls 80, and we've got Queen 4 offsuit with 154 big blinds. It's pretty early into the tournament. Everyone here has 122 effective, so we're super deep.
Can we have Queen 4 off?
Yeah.
Up. All right, so 80, 80, 80 plus half of ours. So was it 200 in the middle?
280 in the middle.
280, and we got to put in 40 more. I'm probably just folding here.
Are you really?
Yeah, I mean, we're putting in 40 to win 320, so we need to win 12.5% of the time. And I think in order to win, we have to, or be, I guess happy, we have to flop 2 pair better. And I don't think we're going to do that 12.5% of the time with this hand. Like, I'm not too happy if I flop a queen. The 4 is just useless. Even if I flop like a flush draw with the queen, I'm not loving life. Yeah. I mean, I'm calling wide in this spot, but just not this wide. Like, I'll probably call with like Queen 7 off, because I think that gives me Jack 10 8. Yeah, Jack 10 9. So Queen 8 off is the make sure I'm doing this right. Jack 10 9. 8. Yeah, so Queen 8 would give us the opportunity to flop a straight. So like, yeah, the worst hand I'm calling with here in terms of queens would be Queen 8 off.
Okay. Yeah, that I like that because you're right here. If we flop a queen, we're just not loving life. If we flop a 4, that really doesn't mean much, and we're going to be out of position against 2 of the players here going forward. Yeah, I just saw the horrendous pot odds there, the 8-1, and I was like, well, there's got to be a call, right? But,
yeah, and another thing about it is, I know this is super rare, but if we flop trip queens and like tons and tons of chips are going into the pot, we're probably still behind.
Yeah.
So basically, we want to flop Queen 4 and hope it holds, or trip 4. I think we flop trip 4s. We're good to go. But then then it's like 7-4-4, and they all brick, so they're not gonna. We have no implied odds anyway. Yeah, there's just nothing good coming out of this.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I think I was a little too loose here. I flick in a chip. I give it a call.
Mm-hmm.
And with queen 4 offsuit, we get a flop of queen 3-8. Small blind checks to us. There's 320 in the pot.
I'll definitely check.
Okay, I do the same. I don't see any reason to lead out here. I think only, yeah. Checks around to the cutoff, and he bets half pot. He bets 160 into the 320. Small blind folds. It's on us.
Call.
Okay, that's what I thought. I flick in a call. Original raiser folds. And now with 640 in the pot, we go to the turn, and the turn is a 10 of spades. So the board now, the flop was queen 8-3, turn is a 10. It's on us.
Check.
Check. Okay, we do the same. And he now bets 200 into 640.
What the hell does that mean? Guess we got a call.
Hey, we can never fold here, right?
Third pot. Yeah, call.
Right? We got to call 200 for 840. We're getting over 4-1 here. Okay. The river is a 6, so the final board is queen 10-8-6-3. And it's on us.
Check.
Check. And villain checks behind and has a better queen. Big surprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I like what you're saying about pre-flop. Just it seems like we're finding a theme here. Like with the aces, you could have got away from them there. On the flop, when that horrendous flop came out against the king jack, and then the ace queen. I like my move folding there. I think we both agreed on that one, folding pre-flop. And then this queen 4 with top pair. This happened like twice. I couldn't find the other hand that it happened with this session, but it was, you're in the big blind, you're getting 9-1 or whatever, and you flick in a call and you flop top pair with a horrendous kicker, and now you're put in this awkward spot.
Right. See, this is the theme. Okay, I'm gonna give you a little background. So
Okay.
2015, I had an amazing year. Like actually starting maybe like December of 2014. For whatever reason, I just started playing super tight. And that continued in like January, February, March, April of 2015. And it culminated in April 2015 with me winning the Bovada Major, where you've seen the hand history. I basically folded my way to a win for like 27,000. And so I won that tournament, and now I got all this money so I can play bigger and, pay for some coaching. So I did. And I started, learning different lines I can take, being more aggressive, getting out there and, swinging this bankroll around. And, like a year and a half later, I lost most of it. And so I've recently started getting back to just being tight and like I was at 2015. And I'm starting to see good results again. And the thing is, this is going to be like the next article I want to write. I'm not playing against people like they used to say, you got to give action to get action.
Yeah.
I'm not playing against people who abide by that rule. Like they are playing level 1, their hands. They don't care if I'm running, 0-0 over the first 200 hands. Like nobody is going to fold more to me at the levels that I'm playing. Yeah. And so what I realized is taking thin spots like this when you don't have like a clear advantage in the hand is like fighting people over pennies who are willing to give you dollars later.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so I've just decided to stop doing that. So if it's like these guys aren't rocket scientists, so they're going to give me so many clear cut, massively plus EV spots that when it's close, I can just fold. And if I'm playing against better players, I got to chase every edge because I can't afford to pass up edges against those people. But against these guys, like, These guys in these, $10, $20, $30 tournaments, and it's even worse on Ignition. Like the first two hands were from ACR, but like on Ignition, like I think the average skill level is worse. And so
I
against
agree.
these guys, I just, I don't put a lot of chips in unless it's a home run spot. And it doesn't come around often, but it comes around enough to allow me to survive to final tables fairly consistently. So I'm back on the team tight is right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I could take a page out of that book.
Yeah, just remember if a guy's willing to give you dollars later, don't fight him over pennies now.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. I've got a few more here on ignition. If do you got time?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let's see. We have blind levels are 75, 150. We have 62 big blinds. Okay, so we've got a stack of what is that? About 9K, 9,300.
Okay.
Okay, it folds to us. We are under the gun +2, and we have ace queen of hearts. With blind levels at 75, 150, I make it 450.
Okay.
And it folds around to the button who calls. He has 26 and a half big blinds for a stack of 3,900. And the small blind folds, the big blind calls. And he has us covered. He's got a stack of 73 big blinds. And his initial starting stack is 10,800.
All right.
Okay, so three-way to the flop. We got ace queen of hearts. The pot is 1425. And the flop is ace of spades, king of clubs, six of clubs. And we got ace queen of hearts. It's on the big blind who checks, and now it's on us.
I am betting like half pot.
Okay, all right. These two players, they're basically unknowns. We got 15 hands on them. We have 15 hands on everyone at the table, so we're just starting at this table, anyways. Okay, I bet into 1425. I bet 666. So I went to skosh under half pot.
Okay.
And the button folds, and the big blind calls. Okay, so what are we thinking he's got here? He completed two more big blinds in the big blind. Then he check called on ace king 6 with two clubs.
He's got all the aces that don't have us beat. Ace jack, ace 10, like even ace deuce. Given his stack size and given that he was getting a good price pre and just the general way people play, he's got all the aces and a decent number of the kings. And if he's a passive player, which most people are, he could even have some flush draws here. And maybe even like a 6, like, I don't know, say, I guess not as many 6s. I was gonna look for a 6 that also had like a decent backdoor flush draw, but I don't know if he's defending queen 6 off. So let's say a lot of aces and a good number of kings.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought broadways, all the aces.
Yeah.
Flush draws that are maybe he's got like 7, 8 of clubs or something like that. I think that's a check call here, at least for most villains. Yeah, I agree. Broadway kings, all that. Okay, so he calls. The pot now is 2757. And the turn is the queen of spades. So the board now is ace of spades, king of clubs, queen of spades, 6 of clubs.
He checks, right?
He checks, yes.
I'm betting here, and let's see. All right, given the range we put him on initially, I think I'm going to go roughly half pot again because I think if we just go like half pot or less all the way down, we can get 3 streets from a weak ace, and that's going to be the majority of his range, I think, and possibly even like see King Jack though, like King Jack, King 10. If that was the majority of his range, I would want to bet bigger because he's not folding those now that he picked up a gutter. But I think the majority of his range is going to be like ace five, ace four, stuff like that. And I don't want to start scaring that stuff off. So I'm betting again roughly about half pot.
Okay. I went smaller. I thought his range was pretty similar to what you were saying right here. Is that we're targeting weak aces and we're targeting all his kings. And I didn't think as deep though that his a lot of his kings have a gutter now, the King Jack and the King 10. And if he, for whatever reason, was calling with a gut shot on the flop like Queen 10 or Queen Jack, he just picked up some equity there on the turn, and I think we could go a little bit bigger. So into 27.57, I bet 777, and I think you're right. I could have gone like 1,100 there easy. And
Yeah.
we're probably still getting a call from basically everything I mentioned. Even the flush draws are going to call that.
Yeah.
I don't think I charged him enough here.
No. I think two issues with this bet is you're getting down closer to the point where if he has like a draw, like some type of combo draw, like a flush draw and a gutter, he's getting close to the right price, or like a pair and a flush draw. And also, and if you throw in implied odds, he's for sure got a good price here. And the other downside of it is there are a number of like gutters and weaker aces and flush draws and stuff out there that may decide to check raise over this. Like whenever I bet small in these spots and I get raised, I talk myself into thinking I induced it, and then I call in spots where I probably shouldn't. Like if I bet half pot here and the guy raised, well, in this case, with two pair, I'm probably not folding anyway. So I guess that's less of an issue. But let's say if I had like ace jack here and I bet half pot and I get raised, I'm just folding. But if I bet this size and I get raised, I'm thinking like I induced it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think you can bet like 13 or 14 here and get called by pretty much all his aces. And like you said, the kings that picked up gutters.
Yeah. Okay. I bet 777 and villain calls. And we go to the river, and it's the Jack of Spades. So the final board now is Ace of Spades, King of Clubs, Queen of Spades, Jack of Spades, Six of Clubs. So the backdoor flush draw gets there. Any 10 is a straight, and villain checks. We got 43-11 in the pot.
I think this is probably no. I was gonna say this might be a good time to bet small, but I think I'm still bad enough where I would talk myself into calling if he raised it. So just to kind of protect myself, I'm probably betting like half pot again. Because if he raises a half pot bet at this time, I'm just gonna think he has him the vast majority of the time. I'll maybe go a little bit less than half, but I wouldn't go all the way down to like a third. So maybe like I don't know, 40 to 45% pot bet.
Okay, so you bet like 1,900, 2,000, something like that.
Yeah.
Into 4,300. Okay, yeah. When I was reviewing this, I thought this looks like a bet fold to me.
Yep.
Because I think we're getting called, like the range we put them on, the king queens, the king jacks, the weak aces, the flush draw missed, but maybe he's sitting there with ace 8 of clubs, and he's got top pair and he just can't let it go. But Yeah, I think this is a bet fold. I did a check behind because I didn't want to get blown off my hand, but looking back, that's just bad logic. I think this is a pretty clear bet fold here.
Yeah, unless you do something unless the guy is aggressive naturally, or you do something to induce aggression from him, like using a small size on the river, then generally when he does raise the river, he isn't bluffing. Another problem with it is he could be raising the river for value with something we beat. What was the river card? The jack?
Jack of spades.
Yeah, so like, I mean, some people are bad. We'll see the flush draw got there. So I
Well,
think
backdoor flush draw got
the
there.
backdoor flush draw got there, which I think protects us from getting check raised on the river with like king queen or king jack. So yeah, that with that flush draw coming in, I definitely like a bet fold for sure on the river.
Okay. Yeah. Me too. Me too. I like it. I don't. I go for the check behind, and he had ace-7 for a weaker ace. So I'm not sure if he's calling a half pot bet there, but he's definitely calling with king queen, king jack. You know.
Most people find that call because,
Really, you
like you
think so?
said, with 73 bigs, early levels of a small stakes tournament, an unknown, I think a lot of time have trouble folding ace high.
Okay.
You give this guy 40 bigs instead, then maybe he folds the river with ace-7. But this guy can call this river bet and he still has like, I don't know, 50 bigs or whatever.
Yeah.
So and that's like heaps to them. So yeah, I think you got to go for value in these spots for sure.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. I got another one here.
All right.
First, let me tell you about Elliot Roe. You guys can get your free 7-minute Tilt-Buster. You listen to it before you play. Before I played all these tournaments, I don't play a hand of poker unless I listen to an Elliot Roe tape first. It's part of my warm-up routine. And you guys can have the same one. You go to pokermindcoach.com. You can get his free 7-minute Tilt-Buster, or there's a handy little link in the show notes. Click on it there. And put it on your phone. Listen to it before you play. He's got MP3s for everything. He's got them for bankroll management. He's got them for online MTTs, live MTTs, cash, sit and goes, spin and goes, whatever you want. He's got them all. Use the code HUPOKER. Score yourself a little discount and kick back some to the podcast, and it's a win-win. So be sure to check out your free MP3. Okay, now this one is this is kind of an interesting spot. The blind levels are 40-80, and we get a call under the gun. Okay, we're all very deep. We've
A limp?
got the
UTG limp?
UTG limp. Yeah, we've got about the shortest stack at the table is 82 bigs, so it's fairly early into the tournament. Yep. We get a limp from under the gun. Blind level's 40-80. He limps for 80. He's got 125 bigs. It folds to us, and we have pocket sixes under the gun +2.
I limp behind here.
Okay. I thought the same. I thought this is either a limp, and then I kind of threw a wrench into the system on this one. I did a little min raise, and I'm not sure how I like that. I don't know why I did it, other than I remember thinking, you know, we're all over 100 bigs here. If I flop a set, then I can win a huge pot if I min raise it. I think most people that were going to call with their Jack 10 are going to call anyways to a min raise when everyone's so deep. And I don't know. What do you think of that logic?
The thing that concerns me about it is your goal with pocket sixes here. Like you said, you want to flop a set and win a big pot.
Yeah.
You're gonna win that big pot from a big pair. And if somebody has a big pair and you make it 160, they're not just calling. They're 3-betting. And so now instead of paying 160 instead of paying 80 for the opportunity to, I guess if you limp, say a guy raised, I don't know, like 320 or 400, and then it folds back around. Probably get a couple of callers, and now you're getting like a ridiculously good price to just put in another 240 or 320 or whatever it is to try to hit your set. Whereas if you raise to 160, the guy could make it like, I don't know, 480 to like 520-ish or something. And so now you're paying more, and that 3-bet is going to, I think, blow some other people out of the pot who would have been in there otherwise. So it's fewer people that you can, like if you hit a set, you're going to have fewer customers in a 3-bet pot as opposed to a single raise pot. Whereas if you limped in and the guy with aces raised and a bunch of people called.
Yeah, I like that, because now with my little piddly 160 raise here, his 3-bet instead of being 320 is going to be like 550 or something.
Right, so it's going to cost you more to see the flop in the first place, and also, how many bigs do you have?
I've got 136.
Okay. Yeah, what you're doing is you're trying to build a pot in case something happens, which happens very rarely.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's not necessary, because if you limp and somebody raises and you hit a set, the initial pot is going to be small. But if a guy's got aces, hell, you can check shove 100 bigs, he's not folding.
Yeah.
So you can. This is something I've kind of moved to doing more lately, and that is waiting till I hit my hand before I build a pot. And this is kind of what I was saying earlier about, your stats can be 0-0, and if a guy has aces and you check raise him on like a rainbow board with a set of sixes, he's not going to think, oh, this guy probably has a big hand because he hasn't been bluffing much, so I'm going to fold aces. Like, as we saw from the hand earlier, people don't like to fold aces. Yeah. So
Yes.
just limp, hit your set, and then, like, I've check shove after hitting like a set in a spot like this and got called by like top pair, top kicker on a 9-high board for like 800 big blinds.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No need to raise here. Just limp and hope you get some customers along the way, and then see the flop before you. Okay. Yeah. I like it. Okay. I'm min raise here. I make it 160. It folds around to the button who calls. Okay. He has 82 big blinds. The small blind calls. He's got 112 big blinds. And the big blind, he calls. And then the original limper calls. So probably about the best scenario that could have happened given my action.
And another thing is, given that all these people called, that means that they probably don't have big overpairs. And so they're not going to give you a ton of action post-flop anyway, unless they improve to something like 2-pair, or even worse, a bigger set if they got like 7s or 8s or something. But I guess that's neither here nor there. That's going to happen regardless of what you do. But yeah, I think the biggest key is, like, now nobody's strong pre-flop. And if you hit your set, you don't have as much implied odds. Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Yeah, you're forcing them to get 2-pair or better here, or some type of draw to continue. Okay. We got 800 in the pot. We're 5-handed, and we're going to be second to last to act. We go to the flop. The flop is the 9 of clubs, 6 of hearts, 5 of hearts. So what would be that? We flop the third nuts. The nuts would be 7-8. Second nuts would be pocket 9s, and then we got middle set here. So pretty good result considering the action.
Yep.
It checks around to the original limper. So small blind checks, big blind checks. And the original limper bets pot. He bets 800 into 800, and now it's on us.
Yeah. Okay, so this is tricky. It's funny.
Hence the reason
I,
I brought it
I,
up.
I was twitching. I was twitching a couple of days ago, streaming on Twitch, and I had a similar spot where I flopped the set. Well, I turned a set in a spot where my choice was raise to get value from the guy that bet, or call to kind of suck the people behind me in. And I was kind of really, going over what I wanted to do in that spot, and I thought too long, and I timed out and folded my damn set. That was horrible. Um, all right. So my initial thought is when this guy pots it, had he raised pre, I'm putting him on like aces here every time, and then I'm just check shoving because he's not folding, or he's not folding aces. He's not folding like the nut flush draw, and he's not folding like any type of combo draw. So I think had he raised, we can get a lot of value from him. But I'm greedy, man, and I don't want to let these, like, if somebody behind me has like a weak flush draw, I don't want to let them off the hook. I want to stack all the flush draws.
Yeah,
So what this may be bad, but I'll probably just call here, and then with the plan of probably check raise and turn. So yeah, I will call.
You call. Okay.
Yeah, it may be bad though.
I went for the raise. I thought the range I'm putting all these guys on, especially, well, I mean, shit, every one of them. The button, small blind, big blind. I think their calling range here, when it's so cheap to see a flop, it kind of smacks this board. And the ones that don't, the broadways, are going to be folding to this 800 anyways, I think, unless they've got heart draw.
Yeah.
So I went for the raise just because I thought there's a good chance that one of these guys has got a 9. Some of them may have some kind of combo draw, like you said, like maybe they've got like 10-7 of hearts or something.
See, this is my argument for calling. Like, if a guy has a 9, he's folding it now. But if you
if
just
we raise, you think?
yeah, like if I'm behind, I don't know how. Like most people aren't perceptive, so like maybe you still get called by like ace 9. But if a guy has like 10-9 or jack 9 or even king 9, and there's a pot size bet and then a raise, he's gonna be a little bit leery.
That's a good point.
But if you just call, he's calling with it every time.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Then you get action from those hands that are damn near drawing dead.
Right. So like in this spot, I think about Andrew Brokos's Getting Value video on Tournament Poker Edge. You got a value target, like what hand or do you want to get value from here? Not necessarily overpairs. Nobody has those. I mean, 10s at best. Set of 5s would be nice. The first guy's kind of repping that. Also, good flush draws. So I think your raise here gets value from anybody if they have a set or a good flush draw or 2 pair.
Yeah.
But those hands are probably, I don't know the numbers. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess less than half of people's ranges. So like,
we blocked the 2 pair pretty hard with the set we got
Yeah.
because there's only 1 6 left. I doubt anyone's playing 9-5 unless it's the big blind and he completed because they're suited. There's only 1 6 left, so there's only
right. And
there's very few combinations of 6-5 and 9-6. I think would.
And the hearts are only 1 combo each. So, but like ace 9 offsuit, Well, let's just say ace nine in general. There's 12 combos of that left. And so that kind of, there's probably similar number of combos of heart draws with just the ace nine. And then when you start throwing in 10 9, jack nine, like there's a ton of combos of like 9x. And maybe we should be calling to target those as opposed to targeting the two pair better, which is fewer combos because, like you said, we block a lot of them. But I'm mostly thinking about the guys behind. This first guy, I feel like his bet size, he's kind of said that he's strong. And hell, he could even have aces. A lot of people will limit. Well, he's not limp. Like once you raise it, he's called. Most people, if they limp under the gun with aces and somebody raises, they're re-raising. So he probably don't have aces either. But he's repping like a big flush draw or bottom set. And so the goal is target. Our option is to target his stack if he has that range, and kind of give up the opportunity to stack the people behind, or at least get some value. We're probably not going to stack a 9, but get some value from the people behind, or just go for the guy who bet initially. And I still don't know the correct answer to that because I'm greedy. I probably just call here to try to suck those guys in.
Okay.
What raise size did you make it?
He made it 1,800, so the pot is now 1,600, and then I made it 1,920.
Wait a minute. The pot was 800 pre. I mean 800 before the flop. It was 800, and he bet 800. 800,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So he bet 8 into 8, and then you raised it to what?
1920.
1920.
So 2x would be 16, and then I went like not quite 2.5x.
Yeah. If I raise, I'm raising a lot bigger than this.
You making it like 3, or what are you making?
Like I'm probably making it like. What's the effective stack between you and the original limper?
He's got 125 bigs. I got 136, so we've got him covered by just a skosh. But as far as stack sizes starting out the hand, he's got like 10K. Actually, he has 10K exactly. This is his second hand, and we've got 10-8.
So he started with 10K. He's put in 800 on the flop, so he's got like a little bit under 92 behind. See, the thing is, if he has a set, it doesn't really matter. I guess it could matter what we do. If he, like, I feel like he's strong and he's going to at least call. And if he has a flush draw, I want to get a lot of chips in on the flop before he bricks. And if he has a set, I want to get a lot of chips in on the flop before the flush draw hits and he puts me on it and gets spooked.
Yeah.
So I feel like the size you used, you can bet turn and river and get stacks in by the river. But by then, the board could run out scary enough to let the guy get away. So I just want to get a lot of chips in here, and I think if he has a set or a flush draw, he's calling the bigger raise here. So I'm trying to go ahead and commit him to the pot early. So I'm probably going like 32 here.
Oh wow, you're going like 4x. Okay.
Because no matter what we do, once you raise, the guys behind you, they're out with their marginal hands. Like nobody's calling this raise with a 9. Like I can't imagine people would fold a 9 to the bigger raise, but call it to this one. In their mind, a raise is a raise at this point, given how big the first guy bet.
Yeah.
So I think once you decide to raise, you kind of just got to give up on getting value from everybody except that first dude.
Yeah. Okay. We're either targeting the first guy, or we're trying to get some other guys in behind that might have a gut shot or
right.
Weak draw or something.
And with what he's repping, he'll call 32.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. Okay. We make it 1920. It does just like you said. It folds around to the original better, and he calls.
All right.
So the pot is now 4640, and the turn is the 4 of diamonds. So the board now is 9 of clubs, 6 of hearts, 5 of hearts, and the turn is the 4 of diamonds. And we have pocket sixes for second set. And the original limper villain, he checks. He's got 7,900 behind. We got 88 behind, and the pot is 46.
Definitely want to bet, but I'm thinking about sizing. Guess half pot. If he probably doesn't have a set now. So at this point, I think if he had a set, he either gets it in on the flop, because, or maybe he leaves turn. Like if he wants to get it in with a set, he's got to be worried about how coordinated the board is getting. So I'm gonna assume he's closer to flush draws now. So I want to bet the biggest amount that a flush draw will call incorrectly. And if it's a combo draw, he may call more, and there may be a number of combo draws now. But he did limp early position. I don't know if he's limping early position with no, see, now you can't have many combo draws because it's kind of like that earlier hand. The board is kind of connected to the point where the hands that would normally be combo draws are already straights.
Yeah.
So like he can't have 8-7, can't have 7-6 because the 6 hard is already there. I mean, 4-3 is possible, but I don't know how many people are limping that under the gun. So if he has a flush draw, it's probably just a naked flush draw with 2 big cards. So I don't think we can like pot it and get him to call with that. But I think if we bet half pot, he will call with that. And he'll call. And his call will be incorrect as long as we're able to get away if the river is a heart. If he has implied odds, then he's getting closer to correct. So I'm probably betting half pot here.
Okay. I thought the same. I thought that I want to get when he just calls the flop like you said, and then he checks turn. I'm having a real hard time envisioning this guy with a set. I think he would have min clicked it back or done got it in on the flop or led turn. It's tough for me to think that he's got a set of 5s here. Or a set of 9s because he let out for pot on the flop. So
yeah,
I think we can almost take that out of his range. And then now I think we're in the ballpark of things like 9-7 of hearts, 8-9 of hearts, flush draws, Jack 10 of hearts, all Broadway hearts.
So those are good examples of the few, I guess that's not a few. That's more than still a few. The few flush draw combos that are combo draws that aren't already a straight would be like the ones around the 9, 9-8, 9-7, like you said. I mean, if he's limping early with like 10-7, even that is a gutter. So yeah, he does have some heart combos, more than I expected, that also have additional outs, which means maybe we do need to bet bigger here. So maybe go like 60 to 70% of pot.
Okay, so into 46, make it like 35-ish or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think he's folding like 9-8 to that or 9-7 of hearts. Like it's hard for people to fold 4 to a straight flush, especially when they have a pair with it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I went just a skosh over half pot into 46. I made it 24.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, villain calls. So now we got 9,400 in the middle. He has 55 behind, and we've got him covered with 64. So we go to the river. Arguably, probably the worst river in the deck. It's so the board. The river's the 3 of hearts. So the board is 9 of clubs, 6 of hearts, 5 of hearts. Turn is 4 of diamonds. River's 3 of hearts. And villain open shoves. So in the 94, he shoves 55. We got 15K in the middle, and it's 55 for us to call. We're getting 3. What did it be? 15K in the middle, 55 to call.
Yeah. Okay, now this, I feel like this is less likely to be like a 9 high flush now. And now that I think about it, we missed a couple of combo flush draws on the turn that were not there on the flop, like ace 4 of hearts, ace deuce of hearts would be a gutter. And before we saw the river card, ace 3 of hearts was there. So yeah, there's some. So those combos make more sense now. Like if he has ace 4 of hearts, that explains why he slammed the flop. It also explains why he check calls the turn. I guess he made a pair. Like he improved somewhat, even though he didn't hit his flush yet. And now that he makes the nut flush, he's not afraid of a bigger flush. So this feels a lot like a one of the wheel aces, ace deuce, or I guess ace deuce or ace 4 of hearts. And I think we just fold.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just a 9, a naked 9 here doesn't make any sense. It just feels like that really was the worst card in the deck. Any 2 is now a straight. Any 7's now a straight. And, ace deuce of hearts makes a lot of sense. Ace 4 of hearts makes a lot of sense, which is now the flush. Even a hand like 5-6, or I'm sorry, 5-7 offsuit would maybe kind of make sense on the flop. Let's see, he bet and then called our raise with a gut shot and a pair. That might be kind of reaching it.
Yeah, and 7-5 off, I don't think he limp calls under the gun.
He probably doesn't limp call that under the gun, yeah. Yeah, it just felt like a flush or a straight to me. Some backdoor straight that came in with a 7. Or, I mean, if he's turning 8-9 into a bluff here, then well played. But
he's not.
I just don't think we're ever good here. Do you?
No.
Okay.
No, it's definitely a fold, and that's kind of what I was alluding to on the turn, where we can get away with betting a somewhat smaller size, like half pot on the turn, even if he has a combo draw. Like if he has a combo draw and he calls a half pot turn bet, that's only going to be a profitable call for him if he has implied odds, meaning he can get more chips once he hit his flush. So if we're going to offer him that small of a price, we can't also pay off with him. We can't also give him the implied odds when he hits. So we have to fold here. If we want to like call river, then we need to like pot the turn.
Yeah.
So that when he does call, even if he calls a pot size bet on the turn and he gets us to pay him off on the river, that's still not enough to make up for the big price he paid on the turn. But yeah, I think if you bet small, bet half pot ish on the turn and then fold river, I think that's the best line here.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't think it was a call, but I thought that was kind of my question was, can we ever call here when, 15K in the middle and it's 55 for us to call? It's almost 4-1, but I just don't think we're good here often enough to justify it. Okay. All right.
One thing that just occurred to me about this hand is like my first thought was get it in on like get a bunch of chips in on the flop, and if I think that's good against um naked flush draws I mean like if he has like ace deuce. I do want to get it in on a flop. If he has like king jack, I want to get it in on the flop. But if he has like a combo draw, he's got a decent amount of equity on the flop against a set. So maybe we benefit from seeing the river with chips behind because in the hand it allowed us to get away without putting all our chips in.
Yeah.
Whereas like the line that I was going to take was going to be raise flop big and then shove turn. And I guess it sucks on the flop because our equities are kind of close. Like if we're ahead, we're only like slightly ahead.
Yeah, it's like 52-48 or something.
Yeah. But on the turn, if the turn doesn't hit him, then that river raise sets up a pretty profitable turn shove.
You mean the flop raise?
Yeah. So we raise the flop. So what I want to do 32, right? So if we did 32, that would be 72 on the turn in the pot. So if I did 32 and he calls, 32 and 32 is 64, and there was already 8 in the middle. So had we made it 32 on the flop, there would be 7,200 in the middle, and you started with 10K effective, so that would be, was that 68 behind?
That's like a perfect pot size.
Yeah, so if we bet 68 into 72, I want to see his odds, his pot odds to call that turn bet plus the 72. So the final pot would be 20,800, and he would have to pay 68 to see that. 30,800. So his pot odds, he would have to win 32% of the time to make that turn, his call of the turn shove profitable.
Okay.
And what's that, like 16 outs? Like a combo draw doesn't have 16 outs unless it's like open ended. And that is, given how it ran out, that's impossible. Like 4-3 is the only one. So yeah, I guess that would have been profitable even against a combo draw, is to raise big on the flop and then shove turn, because he's still not getting the right price to call a turn shove, and he's definitely calling if he has a combo draw, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I think that is the line I would take. In this case, it would suck because I would be out of the tournament.
Okay.
Where you're not, because you waited until it got there to give yourself an opportunity to get away from it. But I think there's some value in getting it in against a draw on the turn here.
Yeah. I think you're right. Okay. I got one more if you're down.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. Blind levels are, okay, let's see. We are a 3K guaranteed turbo, 10K in chips. If I remember correctly, I believe this was a $21 buy-in. We are in the big blind, and under the gun +2 at 200-400 makes it 860. He's got 48.3 big blinds, and it folds around to us in the big blind. So we've already posted 400. We can either call another 460. We have 23 big blinds behind. So our starting stack is 87, and he's got 18K. So he's got us more than double covered. What are you thinking here? under the gun +2. We're in the big blind with ace queen offsuit.
So I play this hand two different ways depending on, maybe not. Are you like the other stacks at the table? Are they like around where you are with like 20 bigs, or are you like by far the shortest player?
Let's run around here. Okay, 14 bigs, 22 bigs, 29, 45, 35, 52. And we've got 23, Villain's got 48. So we're down towards the bottomish end.
And you're not close to a bubble or anything. This is still kind of early.
Yeah, no, not close to a bubble, no.
Okay, so table conditions make me want to gamble here. And by gamble, I mean 3-bet, as opposed to, like, if this was on a bubble, I would shove because I don't want to, get outplayed post flop. But if I get outplayed post flop here and then I lose my stack, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not in a great chip position relative to everybody else at the table anyway. Yeah, there's some short stacks, but I don't have enough chips to bully them around. And if I can win a decent sized pot here, then I will be in a spot where I can bully those other short stacks around. And so this seems like a good gamble spot. I would 3-bet here and expect to get called by a lot of hands I dominate.
Really? Okay. You mean 3-bet rip or what do you?
3-bet less than all in.
Okay,
like,
so
I don't think most people are disciplined enough to fold like king queen suited. Maybe not even like ace jack, queen jack suited. I think a lot of those hands are going to call you if you 3-bet. So he made it like 860.
Yeah.
I'm probably making it like 2650 or something, or like 26, something in that ballpark.
Okay, you're going like 3x.
Yep.
Yeah, see, now I thought of that, and my I felt like if we 3-bet and then he ripped, I thought that we were either flipping or behind. I couldn't picture him doing that with like ace jack or ace 10 or king queen like you mentioned. Maybe if we raise there, he's just calling with those
All
hands.
right. So yeah, I'm thinking that most people that I play against in these tournaments don't have 4-bet bluffing ranges. So the hands they should be 4-bet bluffing with, they call with. And if he does shove, then he has his crush, and I don't mind folding. And in fact, I'm kind of glad, like if he has aces, I'm kind of glad to only lose 26K as opposed to calling him and hitting a queen and losing my whole stack.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is Bovada.
Do we have stats on him?
Now, 26 hands, he's a 35-19.
Yeah, these people are hard to figure. I mean, we don't have a lot of stats. I mean, we don't have a lot of hands, so what I'm about to say may not apply to this guy. But generally with stats like this, on the one hand, their VPIP is high, so that makes me feel like their VPIP in their PFR has a gap and the VPIP is high. Generally, that's a passive player. But then the PFR is high in general, so that makes me think he's aggressive. And it's hard to be, like when the numbers tell me that a guy is passive and aggressive, I'm confused. So maybe we don't want to rely on the stats. Is this guy the chip leader at the table or close to it?
He's second in chips.
What are the stacks like on the button and the cutoff?
Let's see. Cutoff has 45, button has 35.
Big blinds or 45?
Big blinds, yeah.
Okay, that changes things a bit because like a big stack in early position especially one that raises 19 PFR of 19. We'll be raising a bunch of hands from here, light, but not. At least he shouldn't be when he has people on the button or the cutoff that can like call him and float flops and shit, which is the case in this hand. So maybe that tightens his range up to like more of a normal under the gun opening range. Still not like a Nash under the gun opening range because the average person opens wider than they should, and they're like he's probably open ace jack offsuit for sure.
Well, he's UTG +2.
Oh, okay, so he's a little bit okay, so that leans it a little bit more towards my plan. Um,
I kind of like what you're saying, like a 3-bet fold. The part I don't like though is that when we raise here and he just calls, we're out of position for the rest of the hand.
but that doesn't matter because the SPR is going to be like 1.5, and we're going to be like the pot is go like position matters when there's a lot of play left post flop. And so, and with the stack size being this short, we're either going to get it in on the flop or we're not. We're either
Okay.
going to commit on the flop or we're not. Maybe we
Yeah.
like bet flop, he calls and we shove turn, but we're going to make our decision on the flop.
Okay.
So that kind of nullifies his positional advantage a bit.
Okay.
And we don't know how many hands. How many
26.
hands? 26. So we don't know a lot about him. So we gotta kind of. I mean, I don't know, man. Like he's on the gun too, which is supposed to be a tight range. But I never give these people like Nash under the gun ranges because everybody opens too wide.
Yeah.
So I may still go for it, man. I may just 3-bet and get it in on most flops, either as a check shove or a bet and then shove turn.
Okay. Okay.
And
Go
and
ahead.
last point I'll make, I don't have to hit a pair to do that. I think if the board is like 4-4-5, I'm still getting it in with the best hand a lot.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. Yeah. Okay. I end up calling.
Okay.
And so I call the 860. The pot now is 2240. And we get a flop of Jack of Spades, 7 of Spades, 7 of Diamonds. And we've got the Ace of Clubs, Queen of Spades.
Hold on. Jack of Spades, 7 of Spades. What diamond?
7 of Diamonds.
7 of Diamonds. And we have like a little bit under 8K left.
We've got 8,200. The pot is 2,200.
Oh, okay. So the pot is 2,200, and we have how much again?
8,200.
8,200. And we have the Queen of Spades, and what ace do we have?
Ace of Clubs.
Ace of Clubs. Definitely start with a check.
Okay, I thought the same. I check. I think that if we bet here, he's calling all pairs, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, he's floating a lot too.
yeah, he's floating a lot too. I mean, there may be worse hands that he's calling with, stuff like King Queen or King. I don't know, Ace. What are worse hands that he's calling with? Just a few, I would think. All pairs are calling, though. I think if we're betting here, then the better hands are calling, and most of the hands that we beat are dumping it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So we check. He bets 1120 into 2240. So he clicks the half pot button.
We can't fold. Feels like too much to shove. I guess we just call.
Because if we shove, he's calling with hands that beat us, and he's folding hands that we beat, right?
Right.
Yeah, this was the point in the hand where I thought maybe I did something wrong on pre-flop because I'm just putting myself in these awkward spots.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think this is something Assassinato talks about a lot. You have called pre-flop with an ace-x hand, and now we get a board that doesn't have an ace on it. And generally, this is a decent, I mean, not when it's a paired board, but let's say that 7 of diamonds was like an 8 of diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a decent board for you to bluff because that wet board would hit your range more so than original. Like the original opener is going to have a lot of ace-x hands that miss, and you can bluff on those type of boards. But not when you have an ace in your hand because you're blocking some of the combos that you're trying to bluff out.
Yeah, instead of him having 72 combos, he's now got 58 or something.
Right. So having this ace post flop doesn't really help us as much, which is why it's good to like 3-bet bluff with ace blockers pre-flop because pre-flop you want to be blocking the ace-x combos when you bluff. But post-flop, you don't want to be blocking the ace-x combos because those are the hands that are going to fold when you bluff on this board. So given that we have an ace, he's less likely to have an ace.
Yeah.
Which means that his range is more pair heavy. And I don't think we can like do much now. But I feel like we also can't fold because he does have, we're behind ace jack. He may not even have ace 10. Chopping with ace queen, we're behind ace king. And a few combinations of king X hands. A jack is kind of troublesome because a lot of the Broadway hands that we were ahead of pre-flop contain a jack, and they're ahead of us now.
Yeah.
And so
Jack 9 suited, Jack 10, Queen Jack, King Jack. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels so dirty to kind of like underrep our hand pre-flop and then just fold it on this board that doesn't hit his range that often. But maybe we have to do that. Maybe we just got to check fold flop.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of went with your original logic, and he bet 11-20 into 22-40. I call.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, wondering, I guess, what I'm going to do if a spade comes. I don't think I thought this out too well in the 15 seconds that I had to decide here in the turbo, but I think the lesson here is pre-flop. Go for a three bet fold, and if he just calls on the flop, then we can go from there. But if he rips it pre-flop, then we can get away from this and we can fold it. If he just calls, then we can assume that we're ahead of his range, and he's probably got a lot of like broadways and small pairs.
Right.
But by just calling there, our range is super wide. Our hand is completely under-repped. We could have everything from 5-6 of hearts here all the way up to what we got.
Maybe. Okay, I just thought about something. I clearly, obviously, would be happier with his hand if we had an ace of spades as opposed to the queen of spades. But either way, like, look at this board. On this board, if we're gonna bluff this guy off of like 6s or 8s or something, we have to convince him that we have something on his board, either a 7 or a jack. So I would want to play my hand now in a way that I may play those hands. So maybe like there's a chance that check, call, and flop and then lead and turn. That could be viable.
Okay.
So we did call, so that puts 4480 in the middle.
Yep. Yeah,
And,
we've got 71 behind. He has like 17, so he's got us covered.
and what's the turn card?
The turn is the 7 of clubs. So we've got Jack of spades, 7 of spades, 7 of diamonds, then a 7 of clubs.
We got Delta game over.
Yeah, okay.
At this point, I think we just check fold.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we do. We check, and then he bets pot, and then we can't, as Casey Jarczyk would say, it was breaking my arm folding.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of a little bit curious about the pot size bet, but like that seems to serve no purpose. Or maybe I guess if he has like an overpair, he's trying to go ahead and stack Jack, boat over boat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he needs to do it all on one street if he because we don't have many chips behind. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, but his turn bet sizing is curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with these game conditions, I think the line I would have taken was I would check raise pre and be more committed to this pot, and probably do we know anything about his C betting percentage?
Let's see. Oh, I can't pull it up on the replayer.
Okay. I'll probably check raise flop and then check raise pre. I mean, 3-bet pre and probably check shove this flop.
Okay.
And the reason I like a check shove is a lot of times if people have a pair, they will check back. And if they have something with no showdown value, they'll kind of take the opportunity to steal the pot once you decline the C bet. So I think check shove gets another bet out of king queen.
Yeah.
And if he has like 5s or 6s or something, maybe it goes check check and probably just end up losing. But we put a good. Maybe he shouldn't have like 5s because he can't be set minded when we. Yeah, I don't think. I think generally when we 3-bet pre, we're going to get called by a lot of hands we dominate. And that jack kind of sucks because some of them got there on us. But maybe that's a good enough reason to abandon ship. I don't know. I'll have to think about that a little bit more. I'll put it to you this way. If this is 9-7-7, I'm check shoving all day long, expecting to be ahead the vast majority of the time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right on. Well, that's all I got. Thank you, Carlos. This was fun. This kind of turned into a study session that turned into a podcast, I think.
Yeah.
It's one of the longest ones I've recorded in a long time, over 2 hours.
But it was fun though.
Yeah, it was cool.
Fun.
It was cool. You want to throw in some plugs? I saw you were on Twitch recently, so.
Yeah, I will say that now that I've returned to being a house dweller with decent internet, I will be twitching more frequently. Good. So you guys can check my Twitch channel out at twitch.tv/Carlos Welch. And also, I'll throw this out. As we talked about a little bit earlier, I've started coaching, and my rate is $50 an hour. And so if you want to contact me about doing coaching for tournaments, I'm not doing cash game coaching. Tournaments, preferably online, but a lot of this stuff applies to live also. You can contact me on Twitter at hiphop101trivia.
Right on. Cool. We'll throw some links in the show notes.
All right.
Awesome. Right on. Well, thanks again, Carlos, and thank you for tuning in. Here is your weekly motivational speech.
They say there's 1,000 more out there just like you. They're faster, stronger, and drip with God-given talent. How will you, a mere speck of sand on an endless beach of mediocrity. Break the bonds of self-doubt and fear and rise to the summit of Mount Victory. The answer is forged deep inside and cast out of blue steel and hardened by the fires of I know I can and someday I will. A weapon that has been wielded by every champion since time began. You feel it as the legends before you felt it. From its subtle beginning, as the distant rumble of an approaching storm, it grows and strengthens with every drop of sweat and every burning breath until it pounds like war drums in your ears, driving an army of one to the inevitable sum of every sacrifice, every failure, and every get up, dust yourself off, and climb back on that brought you here. To stand in the sanctuary of pride, kneel at the altar of humility, and thank God that where you were weak, slow, and had no talent, He instead placed that which wins every battle and defeats all opponents. The blade that will never dull your heart.